Okay, got quite a bit to get through here. 4 episodes, 1 video. Episodes 6, 7, 8 and 9 of American Horror Story Asylum. So I really don't think this is gonna take up too much time. I just don't really have much to say about these episodes. It's just like 1 or 2 comments about each episode. That's really all I have to say. So let's just get into it. So episode 6 was called The Origins of Monstrosity. So it was basically an origin story for Dr. Arden and Bloodyface. That's pretty much the bulk of the episode. It's basically an origin story for those 2 characters. And I was unimpressed. I was like really disappointed by the origin story for Bloodyface. I expected something a bit more complex. Like, I was really excited for the origin story, and then when I found out what it was, I was just like, that's it. I mean, basically what it boils down to is a guy's mum left him as a kid, so he develops mommy issues and decides to become a serial killer. That's pretty much the origin story. I mean, you can just sum it up like that. So I just expected something a lot more. I was just really disappointed by it. The start of the episode was really cool. There's a really cool, like, looking, visually. It's just like, there's a cool visual at the start of this episode. The way it opens up is just awesome. Like I said, it's a great visual. You know what I'm talking about if you've seen the episode. It's basically the way a bunch of dead bodies are displayed. Like, the way the bodies are strung up, it just looks really cool. Although I gotta say, it's kind of, I mean, if you want to think about it, it's kind of like, how did the killer get these bodies in that position? I mean, it would have took a lot of time, but whatever. It looks cool anyway. So I think the way the episode opened was like really cool. Like, it's a really strong visual. So I just liked the visual at the start of the episode. Like, the way the bodies were being hung, it just looked really cool. That scene where Sister Eunice was dancing around and like humping the crucifix on the wall while singing that song was really awesome. I really liked that scene. That's probably like the best scene in the whole entire episode. And overall, I would say this episode is my least favourite episode of the series. That's not to say it's bad, it's just my least favourite. Like, I wasn't bored or felt it was a chore to watch the episode at any point. I wasn't bored at any point, I'm just saying it's my least favourite episode so far out of the series. Bear in mind that so far I've only seen up to episode 9 of the series. I mean, episodes 10, 11, 12 and 13 could, they could be complete and utter shit and, be worse than this episode. But for now, this is my least favourite episode of the series. And when I say that, I'm not saying this episode is bad or anything. Like I said, I wasn't bored at any point. I'm just saying it's my least favourite out of the whole entire series. So far, up to episode 9, so far it's my least favourite. Okay, so really that's all I have to say about episode 6. Just a few comments. I really like the visual at the start of the episode. I was disappointed by the backstory for Bloodyface, and the scene where Sister Eunice was dancing was really awesome. And that's really it. It's just my least favourite episode, but it's still a really cool episode, don't get me wrong. Okay, so moving on to episode 7, which was Dark Cousin. It was called Dark Cousin. So, of course, this episode saw the return of Frances Conroy, who played the old maid in Murder House in Series 1. So she played the old maid, so everyone was kind of like excited to see her come back. Everyone loved her in the first season. And so she's playing the Angel of Death in this episode. Everyone knows this, it's not a spoiler or anything. But yeah, so she plays the Angel of Death, does a damn good job. I mean, it's Frances Conroy, she does a good job as usual. And the effects on her is really cool, because like I said, she's the Angel of Death, and the effects, like, she has like 2 huge black, like, eagle wings that sprout out from her back every time she's about to give someone the kiss of death, and it just looks really cool. So I'm saying the effects on her are like pretty awesome. Like the sound, the swooping sound when the wings sprout out, it's just really awesome. So the effects on her were really cool. It's a really short scene, but there's basically a short bitch off between Sister Eunice and Frances Conroy, the Angel of Death. So you basically got the Angel of Death having a little bitch off against the devil, literally. And that was really entertaining to watch. Like, they only had 1 scene together. I assume they're gonna have some sort of like really epic battle towards the end of the series. So it was basically just those 2 talking, but like having a little argument or discussion, whatever you want to call it. But that was fun to watch. I really liked that. And all of the scenes between Frances Conroy and Jessica Lange were awesome. Jessica Lange is featured like quite a lot in this episode, and she does a damn good job. Like her performance is great in this. I didn't really care much for the child storyline. Like, this seemed really random. I don't quite understand why they even brought this up. It didn't seem as if it had an impact or will have an impact on any of the characters or the story in the future. In this one episode, this girl, she's like, they allude that she, or imply that she killed these two people, like this little 7-year-old girl. I don't really see what the point of her character was. She's only in this episode. She wasn't in episode 8 or 9, and I don't think she's going to return for episodes 10 to 13. She appeared in this one episode, and I just don't... I'm struggling to see the purpose or point of her character. Like, she didn't really influence the overall storyline or any of the other characters. She was kind of like a one-time deal there, and I just didn't care about her. So, like, every scene with her... Like, it's not as if I was bored. Well, I'm not sure. Like, I was kind of drifting off every scene with her because I just didn't care about her. But I was kind of paying attention, but I was kind of drifting off at the same time. So any scene with this kid, I just didn't give a damn. Like, even when they showed the murder scenes where she was standing over the dead bodies telling the police her stories, I really didn't care. Like, she does not have an impact on the story whatsoever, or the characters. I just really don't understand the point of what the point of having her in the episode was. She just seemed really pointless overall. Okay, so moving on to something else. Okay, so the ending is... Something happens at the end of this episode which is like a big moment. It's a big thing in the story, what happens at the end of this episode. But... like, I don't know, how can I word this without spoiling it? So something really big, really spoilerish, happens at the end of this episode. But the way it what is happening itself is shocking, because I truly did not expect that to happen. The way it's done is really poorly, and it feels like awkward to watch. Like, I suppose the way it's staged is really bad. Like, the way the actors run their emotions, the way the actors perform the actions they have to, you know, perform. It's done really poorly, and it feels like really staged, and it just doesn't feel natural. It feels really awkward. Like, if you've seen the episode, hopefully you understand where I'm coming from. But that needed some reshoots. They needed to do a bunch of different takes of that scene, because it's really poorly done. Like I said, story-wise, what is actually happening is really shocking, really compelling and whatnot. But the way it's staged and acted is really poorly, so it feels really awkward. So what should have been a really dramatic moment is instead just like kind of awkward to watch because of how poorly the characters, the actors like deliver their actions. Like, I'm not talking about the dialogue. The way they deliver their lines is fine, but I'm saying the way they perform their actions, it's poorly done, and it feels like really awkward just watching it. Like, you really got to see it to understand what I'm talking about, because it is a big spoiler. I really can't go too much into it, but I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, so moving on to episode 8, Unholy Night, and wow, this episode was awesome. This is easily one of the best episodes of American Horror Story. Out of the first season and the second season, this is one of the best episodes of American Horror Story so far. So, in Unholy Night, we introduce a new character, which is Ian McShane. He's, well, played by Ian McShane, and it's basically a homicidal Santa Claus. Not a real Santa Claus. It's just some guy dressed up, of course, as Santa Claus, going around killing people. So they introduce his character, and Ian McShane is just, like, awesome in this role. Now, Ian McShane, let's quickly talk about him. Apparently, he's a really famous actor, but to be honest with you, I never heard of him before. I've never heard of him. So everyone was, like, freaking out online when he was announced to be playing a homicidal Santa Claus. So I was, you know, of course I Google searched his name to find out what the big deal is about this guy. So I went on Wikipedia to check out what films and TV shows he's done, and to be honest with you, I didn't recognise a single TV show or film. So I'm not sure, maybe I'm just too young to know who he is, but I really had no idea who he was. So I was kind of like, okay, I guess, I don't know, he's a famous actor obviously, because everyone was like freaking out when they heard he was playing Santa Claus, but I'd never heard of him myself or seen any films or TV shows of him. So I just went into this episode like, okay, so he's a famous guy, and he does a really good job of playing Santa Claus. Like, he's really funny. Some of the lines in this episode are just, like, this is a really quotable episode. There's so many lines which are just hilarious. Like, I really like the only difference between me and Santa Claus is that he only comes once a year. And then Ian McShane, like, you know, he has this like really big shit-eating grin on his face. I thought that was awesome. Like his facial expressions and the way he delivers his lines, it's just hilarious. Like, he's just really funny. He's a really funny guy. I really liked him. He does a good job. The script, like the dialogue in this episode was just hilarious. Like, he has some of the best lines in American Horror Story history. I mean, just wow. He was awesome as Santa Claus. Okay, so what else do we have? The music was great. They have like a bunch of, throughout the whole, because it is a Christmas themed episode, of course, and they have a bunch of like Christmas themed music throughout it, of course, and the music's really well chosen. Like, as the confrontation between Jessica Lange and Ian McShane is like, the music during that scene is just awesome. Oh, in fact, the last 10 minutes of the episode had awesome music. Like, it's like a piano tune. I'm not sure what song it is. It is a famous like Christmas song. I've heard the song like a million times before. I can't quite put my finger on what it's called, but it's a famous tune. But you know, they're playing it on a piano, and it's basically playing for the last 10 minutes of the episode. So when all this crazy shit is kicking off, I mean, you have like all these different storylines going off, and like, you know, all this crazy stuff happening. Between, you know, Santa Claus and, you know, the head of the asylum. And then you have all this crazy stuff happening between, you know, Kit and two other characters, which I won't name for spoilers' sake. It's, you know, it's a crazy, the episode gets really crazy towards the end. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's pretty nail-biting. I mean, it's really suspenseful because of all the crazy stuff's going on. And that scene between Jessica Lange and Ian McShane was awesome. Like, that was really intense and like really suspenseful. I mean, you're just sitting there, you're like, oh my god, like, you know, what the hell's gonna happen next? Like, just that scene between Jessica Lange and Ian McShane in the office was awesome. Like, it's just really suspenseful. That's all I'm gonna say. It's just, you know what? Kind of thinking about it, I did think that scene was kind of dark. I mean, meanwhile, the idea of Santa Claus, someone dressed up as Santa Claus beating the shit out of someone, well, a nun, like basically someone dressed up as Santa Claus beating the shit out of someone dressed up as a nun, kind of sounds like it kind of sounds ridiculous, I suppose. It is ridiculous if you think about it, I guess. Only American Horror Story could pull something off like this. Like, really, this is only the TV show which will ever do this sort of thing. But well, it's kind of like a ridiculous idea when you put it out on paper, but actually watching the episode, it was kind of dark, to be honest. I mean, the way like Jessica Lange was kind of screaming, like, you know, when Ian McShane starts beating the shit out of her and like, you know, beating her to death. Like, her screams and everything was kind of like, you know, I was kind of thinking, this is kind of dark, this is a bit twisted. And of course he proceeds on with the beating to perform other nasty things to her, let's say, and let's just leave it at that. But yeah, that was just a really awesome climax. Him, like Ian McShane confronting Jessica Lange, like everything was awesome. I really liked this episode. I mean, shit got really crazy in the last 10 minutes of the episode. You really got to watch this episode. Like, I really urge you to watch this episode if you haven't seen it. It's just the last like 15 minutes are just insane. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Okay, I think that's all I have to say about episode 8 though. And yeah, that's what I have to say. So let's move on to episode 9. Okay, this is the last episode I've watched, of course. It's not on until January now. This was the mid-series finale, episode 9. The ending was... it was awesome. I liked the ending, but it was really... eyebrow-raising. Like, it really... like, the ending of this episode has a lot of moments where you're like, whoa, like, you know, no way. That sort of thing where you're kind of... there's a lot of shocks at the end of the episode, basically. There's a lot of things which you don't see coming. Let's just say that. The way this episode ends, it ends on a lot of cliffhangers and a lot of twists or shocks or reveals, let's say. The alien storyline is continued quite a lot here. The alien storyline, it's they do move it on quite a lot. You learn a lot about the aliens basically in this episode. They're moving that storyline along quite a bit here, and it's really interesting. Like, I've gone, like, a lot of people are pissed off about the aliens. They're like, you know, it doesn't fit American Horror Story and all this shit. But aliens is horror. it's sci-fi, but it can also be horror. I like. It's called American Horror Story. I mean, yeah, but like, why do you accept the devil, the angel of death, a serial killer that wears the faces of his victims? Like, what else do we have here? Nazis, torture, human experiments, a killer Santa Claus, like zombie mutants. There's a lot of stuff. I'm sure I'm missing off like 5 other things they featured here. But like, why do you accept all that but not the aliens? Aliens can be horror too. I don't see what everyone's problem is. Like, I was a bit skeptical, I suppose, when the series first started, but now I just don't mind. Like, the way the alien was presented in episode 3 was like in a horror-ish vibe. Like, you know, the way they built up to the alien's appearance and the way, like, you know, it jumped out of Jessica Lange, like, it was done in a horror-ish way, if you know what I mean. Like, aliens can be horror too. I don't see why everyone's getting, like, really pissed off about this, because a lot of people are really anti-alien with this film. Like, I mean TV show, a lot of people really don't like the alien subplot. Not because they think it's ridiculous or stupid or doesn't make sense and whatnot. It's simply because they're like, they got into that idea into their head that they don't like the idea of aliens in American Horror Story. They basically got that idea into their head that aliens don't belong in American Horror Story for whatever reason, and because of that they're just saying they hate the alien storyline. Like, that's what seems to be happening. But there are people out there who like the alien storyline, me being one of them. Like, it's gone really interesting with the twists and reveals at the end of the episode, let's say. Yeah, so the alien storyline, it's really perked my interest with that storyline, with its recent twists, let's say, at the end of this episode. I mean, you do learn quite a bit about the aliens here. It's great. I also, I'm not going to spoil it, but basically 2 characters team up here. 2 characters form an alliance, and these are the 2 characters you would least ever expect to team up. And I really like that. It was really fun just watching these 2 characters talk to each other. Like, they're not exactly friends, but they are forming an alliance for their own selfish gains. Like, both characters don't care about each other, however, by working together they are helping themselves, so they are like being nice to each other and helping each other for the sake of helping themselves. But I thought it was just really cool and like pretty cute to see the 2 characters work together. Like, yeah, I just really like seeing the 2 characters work together. Like, that was really fun, it was really entertaining. This is one thing, so they reveal who Bloodyface 2012 is. I mean, this was revealed on Twitter after episode 6 by, well, I can't say who because that's a spoiler. But this was revealed by a certain person on Twitter after the airing of episode 6. They flat out told us who Bloodyface 2012 was. And basically, episode 6 clearly tells you who this person is. Who Bloodyface 2012 is revealed in episode 6. I mean, the phone call, if you can identify whose voice that is on the phone, you know who is Bloodyface 2012. Personally, I didn't pick up on it. When I went online and like went on like, you know, TV and went on IMDb, that's when I saw everyone else picking up on it, so I was like, you know what, now you mention it, that does kind of sound like that person's voice. So if you picked up on whose voice that was in episode 6, you already know who Bloodyface 2012 is. So it's pretty well known by this point, but in case some people didn't identify the voice or haven't had it spoiled for them yet, I'm not going to say who Bloodyface 2012 was. But basically, they don't treat it as a big thing either. Like, they're basically saying, well, it's like, well, you know who this is because it's like the writers expected you to identify whose voice it was on the phone in episode 6, so they don't treat the reveal as a big thing here in episode 9. It's kind of like, this is Bloodyface. Like, you know, when Bloodyface takes off the mask, it's not like a big, like, dramatic, like, you know, the music doesn't get dramatic or anything. It's shown extremely quickly in a flash. Like, they don't treat it as a big thing, which is good because they already spoiled it in episode 6. It was already revealed in episode 6, so it's a good thing they didn't treat it as like a really big shocking thing here. But basically, I was disappointed by this because I wish we got to see more of Bloodyface 2012. Basically, there's only 2 scenes involving Bloodyface 2012, and that's it. Like, I wish we got to see a lot more of Bloodyface 2012. I assume we're going to see more of him in episodes 10, 11, 12 and 13, but I was just disappointed. I wanted to see more of what wacky antics Bloodyface got up to in 2012. I can't really see where they're going to go with the 2012 storyline anymore, though. It kind of seems done. It kind of seems resolved. I mean, they don't clear up what attacked Adam Levine, or I don't know how to pronounce his name. I think it's Adam Levine. You know, the lead singer of Maroon. Was it Maroon 5? I think that's a band. I don't know. But whoever attacked Leo and ripped off his arm in episode 1, we still don't know what did that. That certainly wasn't Bloodyface. That's for sure. I'm assuming it's the aliens, or maybe it's certain character's baby. I'm just saying. But yeah, like the Bloodyface, the 2012 storyline, it doesn't really have much other places to go as far as I can see. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. One last thing about the episode. So American Horror Story Asylum is going where no TV show has ever gone before, and literally where no TV show will ever go ever again. That's safe to say. I mean, no TV show in the world will ever do the aversion therapy scene, ever. And I don't think we're going to be seeing a school shooting anytime soon in a TV show, especially produced by, like, you know, by an American company, I suppose. And again, I mean, like, rape is done in American Horror Story all of the time. Like, it's like, each series has done multiple rape scenes, let's say. So like as an audience, like I've been desensitized to this sort of stuff anyway, because I've grew up watching so many horror films. So like it's not as if any of this stuff bothered me in American Horror Story. Like I can acknowledge when something is dark, but like it doesn't bother me. Like I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm impressed, well done for doing it in a TV show. But it's not as if it bothers me or anything. But it's kind of like, when you desensitize the audience, like I'm talking about casual viewers who like normally freak out at people getting their arms cut off and stuff, who don't watch horror films regularly, who haven't been desensitized. So I guess like it's going to get to the point where the audience, those type of audience members have been desensitized to stuff like rape scenes. So it's kind of like, it will get to the point where it's kind of like, where do you go? I mean, it's going to get to the point where they have tried every single mutilation like you could possibly do in a horror show, because they are willing to do anything in this show, it seems. And they do a new thing in this episode, let's say, involving a coat hanger. Of course, you definitely know what I'm talking about if you've seen the episode. But they do something in this episode involving a coat hanger. Oh yeah, the episode was called The Coat Hanger, by the way, if you didn't know. But, you know, a big thing happens with the coat hanger, let's say. A mutilation happens. I mean, it's kind of raises the question, where do they go from here? They've already done teen suicides. Some dude got his dick bit off in the first season. They've already done like rape on multiple occasions, necrophilia, lobotomies, amputation, disembowelments. It's kind of like, where are they gonna go from here? Like I am like I'm just raising it like a point here, which I think is kind of interesting. Where are they gonna go from here? They've done a lot of twisted and dark stuff, psychological and just visually horrifying. Like the school shooting was more psychological and then visually horrifying. I suppose it would be more stuff like the amputation. The coat hanger scene was more psychological, I would say. But you know, the disembowelment, that's visual horror. But you know, they are doing a mix of stuff. So it's kind of like, I am interested in seeing what they're going to do from here. They've done crucifixion as well now, as we all know from this episode. That they've done crucifixion. It's kind of like, what I don't know. Like, I'm interested in seeing how far they're going to go with these mutilations, and it's going to get to the point where they run out of like creative ways to just torture people. Like I'm interested in seeing where American Horror Story goes as a TV show. But yeah, I'm just saying, keeping in the American Horror Story tradition of doing pretty extreme stuff and stuff which most TV shows would not do. I'm just saying, and there's a scene involving a coat hanger in this episode, which it's I've never seen this in a TV show before. Just saying. And it's kind of twisted. Like, if you've been desensitized like me, you're not going to be bothered by it. But like I said, I can't acknowledge when something is kind of twisted. I'm just saying, This episode impressed me. Like, every time American Horror Story does something like really graphic or something just really disturbing or really like edgy, I'm always like, you know, kind of clapping my hands a bit, like impressed. Like, I just want to see how far they want to go and how controversial they're willing to get. So the coat hanger scene is kind of pushing it even further, and it's just really well done. I'm leaving it at that. So it was a great episode. It was a great mid-series finale, and I'm really pissed off. I've got to wait until January the 2nd. Like, I don't know why American shows do this. I mean, recently Doctor Who has done this, the mid-series finale thing, where they show, you know, you've basically got to wait like 6 weeks until the next, you know, the other half of the series. Like, most American shows do this, from what I can tell. But I'm just really pissed off that they've done this to American Horror Story. I mean, they didn't do it to the first series. With Murder House, they just showed the 12 episodes in 12 weeks. And now they're having a 2 or 3 week break, I forget. I think it's a 2 week break. But the 2 weeks, I don't care. Like, 2 weeks, 1 week, I don't want a break. I want to watch all 13 episodes in 13 weeks. So I was really pissed off. It's going to be hard, you know, to sit there. Like, you know, I'm just like, I really want to see the next episodes. I really wish they didn't do this break. Of course, this is a good sign. It goes to show I'm invested in the show, I'm excited, and I can't wait to see the next episode. So, again, episodes 6, 7, 8, and 9, American Horror Story Asylum so far has been far superior to Murder House. Although Murder House was awesome, I loved Murder House, but Asylum is far better so far. I'm really, really enjoying it. American Horror Story, I love it. I really hope they have a good ending to this. I mean, they need to have some sort of showdown between the aliens and the devil. That would be awesome to see. Also, another thing I just want them to see, show, is someone being skinned alive, or at least someone having their face cut off or carved off. Because, I don't know, well, basically Bloodyface, of course, he's a cool villain and all. And of course, his MO is that he carves off his victims' faces and wears the flesh as a mask, of course. You know, Leatherface, Ed Gein, or however you pronounce his name, that sort of stuff. And since the big baddie of this series is basically Bloodyface, well, I guess you could say the devil is as well, but also Bloodyface is a pretty big part of this series. So he's the big baddie of Asylum. And it's kind of like if... This is just me being a gorehound, I suppose, but I just want to see Bloodyface cut off someone's face before this series ends. Before Asylum ends, we need to see Bloodyface claim a victim by carving off their face. He needs to do it at some point. I really hope, like, we've only got 4 episodes left, but I really hope we get to see this at some point. Otherwise, I'm going to be really disappointed. But that's just me being a gorehound. Just a little note at the end of it. That's really all I have to say. So that's it. Episode 6, 7, 8, and 9 of American Horror Story done. Glad to get out of the way because the episodes were gradually mounting up. I was like, oh shit, I've got to do 4 episodes in one video now. Finally got them out of the way. So that's it. And yeah, that's the video. So thanks for watching. See ya. And of course, I'll be doing the other episodes whenever they air. Well, January the 2nd. So I'm looking forward to January the 2nd. So that's it. So thanks for watching. See ya.